Hello, good evening, welcome to Upfront. Now, we continue our conversation on the state of security in the country. We'll also be giving the latest update on the IRSO West work on elections on this platform today as the NDC is battling the Electoral Commission over the actual register required for the election. Less than 24 hours to this particular election. The claim of the NDC is that almost 1,000 more people have been added to this particular register. The Electoral Commission is dismissing this claim. Deputy Chair of the EC will be our guest pretty soon on this conversation, but the most important talk we'll be having today is the safety of Ghanaians. My guest is the man who leads government business, especially when it comes to the Committee of Defense and Interior in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. After the break, Sir Champo will join us. Exactly what's the assurance they've gotten from government. As we understand, some of these members on the minority side have already raised questions about whether or not we are safe in the People's Republic of Ghana. After the break, we'll continue our conversation. You're welcome back. This is Upfront. My name is Raymond Akwa. So our conversation is still on the state of security in the People's Republic of Ghana. Later on, we'll talk about IRSO West Wagon. But as I do have the MP whose responsibility is to chair the Committee on Defense and also Interior, the crux of our conversation will be the minority last week told us that we are not nearing, we are already in a state of insecurity, and the state is failing in fixing the many problems, right from kidnapping through to the murder of journalists, also the murder of ordinary citizens, including those who work with Kapoa in various capacities, and the fear these have sent down the spine of many in the country. That's the crux of our conversation today. The Honorable Sete Champo, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I hope you are doing well today.
Oh, I am very, very calm.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to God for strength and energy to be able to be here to attend to your call.
Well, the calmness you are exhibiting is not the same that at least those in Takoradi are exhibiting today. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Not necessarily those in Takoradi, by virtue of yourselves. Today, you enable all of us the opportunity to have a graphic representation of what goes on around us within the Republic of Ghana. So I'm sure any person that necessarily is focused on our public safety would certainly be following your stories and will be doing their own evaluations. And so I think that it is all over. It's not necessarily those people in Takoradi, but the entirety of our country. People who are following the narrative are also concerned, and they are all evaluating. They are listening to us, and they are getting to know things for themselves. Some of them, which we say, which is right, they would attest to. Those that are not right, they are the best judges.
I get your point. Now, before I actually move to the crux of our conversation, in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana today, there was some form of a scuffle. This involved some of your colleagues. And this was in the case of the Honorable Muntaka Mubarak Mohammed and also the Honorable Ken Ejapon. The crux of that conversation, scuffle, was really about security of the state. This was because the MP had been referred to the Privileges Committee that a section of your grouping in Parliament suspects that he has questions to answer when it comes to the death of the journalist in this case. I mean, this is at the doorstep of Parliament, an issue of the death of a journalist where one of your own is being fingered within the House. Is that not what depicts the real situation of security in the country?
Thank you. I think you are talking to the recent misunderstanding that ensued in Parliament today. I know, unfortunately, it is a very bad matter. I condemn it in all uncertain terms because we are a privileged group in respect of this country, and these are not just ordinary first-time members of Parliament. Ken is a fifth-time member of Parliament. Mohammed Muntaka is a fourth-time member of Parliament and even sits on the front bench as the chief whip, more or less the chief administrator of the minority caucus. So these are leaders, and Ken is a chairman for the Communications Committee. And are very much, unfortunately, this accident occurred. And I know that the leadership is taking the matter up, and beyond that, the necessary actions that our orders prescribe for us, if matters are raised, if it's upfront to our dignity, will be addressed. That notwithstanding, it is emanating out of the unfortunate demise of our own Ahmed Swali Hussein. Let me use the opportunity on being on your platform, to express my deepest condolences to his immediate family, his Tiger IPI group, and your good selves, the media fraternity, as well as the entirety of Ghana, because he was a servant of the land who was on a useful path, demonstrating stewardship in helping us unravel menace that this country has always been crying about, corruption, and unfortunately met this untimely death. It is a very bad, sad situation. I know the police service is seriously, vigorously working on the matter. It's work in progress, and typically of security operatives, matters of this nature, they are quite economical when it comes to information, because the more you speak out, the more the perpetrators also have their ears and eyes all over, and so you are not able to advance enough information. But I think we still have some communication reviews we could do, but that is subjective to the administration. Okay. So they would then have to take it up. We could suggest, but that is in a different fora.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to raise here is that even the member of parliament who's been referred to the privileges committee says he doesn't trust the police. They can't do anything. They can't find the killers. How are we ordinary citizens supposed to be convinced that this will be dealt with the way it ought to be dealt with?
That is an individual, one individual. We live in a state, a republic. I don't have his grounds, and I do not know what leads him to make that categorical statement. So as such, I cannot speak for him. But what I can say is that I trust in the state, because I am a member of the state, and I live in the state. Fortunately, I am a member of government, and I believe in the government, and I know that the government is on top of its work. The government is delivering, and it's not just only on this matter. It's not an isolated matter. We have a lot of issues that are being handled and dealt by the police service. I know that he himself have allowed himself, maybe I haven't had a full narrative, but he himself have allowed himself to speak with the police service in their investigations. They went to him,
took a statement from him.
Yeah, they took a statement from him prior to his departure from Ghana. And typically, some of the privileges members of parliament have is for leave to be sought from the Speaker of Parliament before the state agencies, parastatal security agencies, are able to engage with them. These are part of the privileges they enjoy. And now it's been cleared. I know he's meeting them soonest. And so that is not...
He's going to meet them again?
Oh, yeah, he's going to meet them officially. He's not going to meet them officially. What was done was just to pick preliminary information hitherto. And I congratulate himself, and I congratulate the police administration, the CID department, which had that earlier idea to meet with him, to pick up some information of him. Immediately the matter broke. For me, that was good and quick time response for every investigator to gather the immediate information. Ideally, that was the best to do, so you don't lose your, what they call in a crime scene, you don't lose your immediate information.
But the problem is that the minority insists the police had to wait for the minority, and others to call for the man to be questioned before they did so. Indeed, it was later on in the course of the day, after the press conference, and many of the other complaints from people, that this man virtually exposed him on TV. So if you have questions to ask somebody, he should be top on the agenda.
Unfortunately, when a matter breaks, the police are supposed to investigate. Everybody within the community can be called upon.
Yeah, that's true. But you know, there are generally people that we all consider to be very vital to the engagement.
Based on the happenings and actions of the past, the honorable colleague had become a person of interest.
Yeah.
And for any useful investigation and a good investigator, you cannot leave such a fellow out. And so for me, for the police to have gone ahead to even speak with him prior to seeking the leave of the speaker, and he also obliging and sitting with them, was something I see as a useful thing and which is beneficial to the whole process. So we will not allow time to pass. I am not in support of my colleagues, the minority statement, in that if you begin to speak in that manner, you are coloring the entire crime matter. Crime knows no color. Crime does not know me. It doesn't know you, Raymond. It will affect you. It will affect you. It will hit you. It will hit you. So the least we can do is to at least allow the professionals who have been so trained to help us unravel this difficulty that has befallen the Republic. And so when we begin to do name calling, and when you do that, the right suspects or the perpetrators, we may leave them to go scot-free, because we'll then take attention from the subject that needs to be discussed, and we'll allow ourselves on a wild goose chase.
Okay, now,
to all intents and purposes, insofar as Kennedy Honorable is a person of interest, it may happen he has no hand in the matter. I cannot determine. Typically, some of the people who are even pontificating, if investigation goes on and records are taken and right facts are gotten and the real evidence we are looking for are obtained, you may be surprised. It will lead to differently. So why should we and must we, politicians, partisans like myself, just jump in the fray in the line of investigation, a very pressing, sudden matter like this, and just politicize it? It's wrong. It's wrong. I condemn it and I disagree totally.
What is wrong? Is it their call for the man to be questioned, or the other statement they made after that? You have agreed that it's a person of interest.
Person of interest. Furtherance to saying the person is a prime suspect. That is taking the matter a notch different.
Really?
Yes. If the person is a person of interest, he's a person of interest.
Is he not a prime suspect?
You see, he can't be a prime suspect.
Really?
Why do you make him a prime suspect? Did you find him in action shooting the gentleman? You know, in criminal proceedings, you need to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
That's not in doubt. But since we don't know the people who actually carried out the act,
for
since
instance,
we know that no other person portrayed the gentleman's identity, to the extent that the team had requested police support and security after the portrayal of the identity and the display on national TV, it's not enough for them to say, this man is key on your witness list.
I will not do so if I were an investigator.
Not at all?
I will take him on. I will do my work within my parameters, and I will ensure that I do it perfectly. In the course of the discharge of my investigation, when I realize the facts that I gather, that will determine for me. Other than I'll be prejudiced by some person's commentary. And that is not to be done. It will be unfair. Not to even the person we are describing, but to the state we live in.
I see.
It will be extremely unfair. We should allow the systems to run. We preach that we should allow our institutions to work. Unfortunately, it is not all of us who believe in that statement. But more often than not, we spew it out. We should allow our words to work for us.
So many who fear that this may become a J.B. Danko Edu case, many who fear that this may become one of those Adams Mahama cases that drag in courts. At one point in time, there's a nolle prosequi fight, and people are worried about whether or not we are getting anywhere with it. And this, many believe, emboldens criminals and actually gives them the credit to proceed to commit other crimes. Is that not some justification for a group in the kind of those in the minority to say, please, we must see this to an end. We will cooperate, we'll help you, but start from this point. I mean, without the partisan coloration, at least some people ought to be advocating that this ought to be dealt with properly. Is it not so?
Let me say this, Raymond. You've mentioned a couple of cases.
Yes.
You, my former colleague, the late J.B. Dankwedu.
Yeah.
It's still the matter that the police is still investigating and working on.
Yeah.
And I know your good self as a broadcaster, you just don't listen to yourself alone.
Yeah.
You look around for the best practices.
True.
I'm sure you've been watching one of these cable channels, the crime investigations. And your knowledge, when you watch such documentary, it leads and helps you appreciate the work security operatives do and the painstaking time, long suffering that they go through before they are able to unravel matters. Security investigations are not just like me going to cook rice.
Yeah.
Security investigations are painstaking. A criminal, a cruel fellow, sits down, plots, plan, and go and deploy. It may take him 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to complete their plan and execute their agenda. We can't unravel that overnight. And we need to encourage the operatives who are doing the work so they can do it better. That is why I condemn any person who speaks quicker than the operatives. It is good to urge them to do the work that we have mandated them to do. But it would be wrong to begin to lay blame when they've not even completed their work.
I get your point, but my difficulty is that there's also history that we can fall on in these cases. And of course, the JB Dankwedu issue happened as far back 2015. We are in 2019. Even for the family, there isn't proper closure as to whether justice has been served or not. That should be of concern to you too.
Thank you very much. It is of great concern to me. He was my senior brother, not just an ordinary colleague. Similarly, our former regional chairman, Adam Mahama, was also killed in 2015.
Yeah.
Just this week, investigators have been able to pick up another suspect. Suspect.
Yeah.
How many years now?
That's 4 years.
Thank you very much. So the investigations grind slowly. We need to appreciate that. We have to begin to educate ourselves that this is the challenge that the people go through. So how do we fast track it? It is incumbent upon us, policymakers and decision makers, to provide for the operatives the real tools that will help them unravel such matters on time and in real good time. And so it requires that we procure certain logistics for them. It requires that we give them certain capacity building abilities. It requires and behoves on all of us to rather advocate in that direction, not necessarily blaming one another. But the truth of the matter is that...
But the police has been very quick in some instances too. They have been very swift. They have shown that they can, with the right motivation, do the things that's required of them very well.
It depends on voluntary of information.
Okay.
The police can never work perfectly on their own. It's a civil police, and it requires civil cooperation. That is why, often than not, you hear them advertise that we place this premium on who supplies us information or who offers us this information that we need or require. Without the cooperation of we, civil society, into their work and helping and aiding them, we take too much time to come to the bottom of the matters. There are many cases you can speak. Some who are quick to put blame and tell us that they are not doing anything. Say, if it is one of their own, they would have discovered that fellow. Yeah. Yes, you could say so. But for me...
Because there's some evidence that backs that
certainly claim. There is that evidence, but it is not always the case. A police officer was shot recently on one of our streets. Till today, they have not found the perpetrators. Last year, another police officer was shot on his bicycle somewhere in the Ashanti region. They are still finding the culprits. They haven't unraveled them. These are matters and issues that have been happening. They are not isolated, but it is part of the criminal justice system and how we work to deliver justice. And so it can never be done overnight. I'm not defending or holding in brief for the police service, but experience have taught us, like I tried to cite the instance of some documentaries which we've watched elsewhere. More often than not, we can only compare ourselves to what we see elsewhere.
I see. Now, the question I'm also asking in connection with this is back to the MP's issue. Now, your colleague has been dragged before the Privileges Committee. Is that a step in the right direction?
Yes, why not? Why not? I have issues.
Yes.
I have issues with the submission by my colleague Muntaka Mohammed on Mubarak, on his foundation he laid.
Yeah, because he connects it directly to the killing of the journalist and says that the man ought to be...
No, he says that the man's publication of, unfortunately, our late brother Swale led to his killing.
Yeah, that's what he said.
No, that is conclusive. You're not the investigator. I won't take that for an answer.
Really?
That is wrong, yes. However...
But the Speaker did not say it was wrong.
No. However,
yes,
we have a practice in Parliament. The practice in Parliament is that we have our own conventions. Our leadership, before we go for plenary, go for what we call pre-meeting conference. And in pre-meeting conference, what we do as business in every day, we discuss there. So it was a matter that had been raised in pre-meeting and that we knew it was going to happen. And either sides accepted that, yes, this matter is a matter that raises and borders on the dignity of Parliament. So he could qualify for contempt. So come put in your claim. And so he put out a statement. But yes, when that has been decided by my leadership, who am I? I just have to sit back. But if you allowed me to speak my mind solely, I will say otherwise. Unfortunately, the Speaker has admitted it. He's referred it to...
You would have disagreed with the Privileges Committee?
Not the entirety, but some portions of his statements is what I disagree with. But I am not empowered to speak on the matter when the Speaker has referred the matter to the Privileges Committee. I'm equally a member of Parliament. When there's a matter, when a matter is before my committee, I cannot go out and speak on it when the matter has not been decided.
So your problem is with the fact that he said the portraying or the display of the journalist.
Portions of his submission is so conclusive, and that can only be decided by a court of competent jurisdiction based on prosecution's evidence that have been put before the court. But if you lay blame so clear, so crystal, you are just coloring the matter. For me, I don't have issues with our colleague being dragged to the Privileges Committee. It is one of us. If he's done something untoward, we need to straighten Parliament.
Has he done something untoward?
No, but this is the problem that has been raised now. So we have to go into conclave. We have to go into committee.
Privileges Committee that will establish whether
indeed they are going to hear from him. Yes. It's a matter that a colleague of ours believes that the actions of our colleague is an affront to the dignity of Parliament. And as such, the person must be hauled before the Privileges Committee. And the Speaker, upon hearing, and the Majority Leader, who has our right to speak on our behalf as our caucus leader, also said, yes, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker asked him, he said, Mr. Speaker, the matter has been raised. It is for the consideration of the committee. So we can accept. The Speaker then accepted Honorable Muntaka's statement and directed the matter to the Privileges Committee. The Privileges Committee are going to sit and work on behalf of the entirety of the House.
Let me be clear. What exactly would the Privileges Committee seek to unravel in this case?
It says the referral the Speaker has made to them based on Honorable Muntaka's submission. So they are going to take Mustaka's statement and they are going to take Honorable Ejepon's statement and they'll speak either of them. Everybody would come to give their reasons why they think that Kennedy is wrong and must be punished. And Kennedy will come to speak why he thinks he hasn't done anything untoward and he shouldn't be punished. So it's going to be a for and against matter.
Won't you equally be prejudicial and also be conclusive when you say he cannot conclude that the man's actions contributed?
He's not the one conducting he's not the one conducting the investigation.
I get your point.
We are jumping the gun.
I get your point.
Let me tell you, Raymond, we're doing some disservice to ourselves in this country.
He may have evidence that you are not privy to.
Hold on a minute. I have evidence he's also not privy to.
So you cannot say that.
Allow the operative. Allow the operative. Insofar
the man is making the case.
Listen, insofar as you don't have the powers to conduct that investigation, and you sit in a position of trust and privilege, your best opportunity is to walk to the operative who is so mandated by law. We are governed by rule of law, mandated by law to do the investigation, submit to them. Informations I have, I walk to them, I've heard this. can you? I've been given information as I sit here, and I'll supply them. I have supplied some already. I'm not supposed to tell you who I supplied it to. I'll have to take it to the appropriate office.
My only difficulty is that you seem to suggest that the Honorable Muntaka is not in the position to make any conclusive statement on this matter in support of his call for the man to be dragged before the Privileges Committee. In any case, you have also not engaged him and established the cracks of his...
Maybe I'm not expressing myself very well.
Yeah.
My concern is not about Kennedy being dragged to the Privileges Committee.
Yeah, which is entirely what Muntaka sought to do.
Yes. However, in the discharge of that statement, Muntaka, in part of his narrative, said that the actions of our colleague led to, mind my words, the actions of our colleague led to the killing of our fellow citizen, Swale.
Does the Privileges Committee have the right to determine that?
That is not the remit of the Privileges Committee.
It isn't.
The remit of the Privileges Committee is to find out whether the statements which were quoted in our Criminal Act, Criminal Act, the Section 20, which was quoted in the press conference by the minority.
Okay.
And that the way he went about it is, and as a member of Parliament, he has brought the dignity of Parliament so low. That is what he seeks to do. And in the discharge of that, he goes ahead to say, by his action, he led the fellow's final demise on the face of this earth. That is my difficulty. That bit within the statement is so conclusive from my understanding and appreciation. And that is my point of departure.
And you don't think that is a logical sequence?
I don't see that as a logical sequence.
He's exposed. People now get to see his face. Yes.
The gentleman is exposed.
So they can now track him and kill him.
So the gentleman is exposed.
Yes.
Beautiful, Raymond. The gentleman was exposed. How long? When was the action effected?
Well, it doesn't matter.
It matters.
Really?
Crucial.
That
was the
you
action.
You are telling me about how criminals plan to go and execute
wait a minute.
action.
That is the action that you seek to stand on.
Yeah.
To dignify yourself by saying that he has brought the name of Parliament in disrepute.
Okay.
That is the action.
Okay.
That action commenced how many months ago? You didn't see that Parliament has been brought down on its knees by that action until the fellow's death, and people wrote before you read, were we sleeping? I don't want to believe that. Okay. I don't want to be pushed to be making commentary here.
Let me ask you this question, because it matters to me.
The worry is this.
Would you, the Honourable Member of Parliament, would you go on live TV and put out a picture of an investigative and undercover journalist? Will you do so?
I think
it's an important question.
I think
it's
about
how the members of Parliament uphold and trust Article 164 and the work of the journalists in this country. I am interested in whether you will do so.
I would not publicize anybody I don't have an issue with. If you have hurt me,
yes.
If you have hurt me,
I'm asking whether
no,
as an MP,
yes, of course,
I'm giving you. I have journalist.
I have no issue.
Who throughout his trade.
I have no issue with any undercover.
Yes.
Journalists. I have no issue with them.
Yeah.
They are doing their job, and I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
So I don't have any reason to go and publicize them.
Would you condemn same?
I have no issue.
Would you condemn same?
Of course.
Would you condemn your colleagues' display of a known undercover journalist in this country?
I learned a little bit of science.
Yes.
The third Newton law says action and reaction
are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. I get the point.
Thank you very much.
So what's
my point was that at a point,
sorry, forgive me, with the greatest of respect, the entire work of Anas had nothing to do with Kennedy Japan. He was not the subject. He was not of maximum interest to anybody. In fact, when the report was made to the CID, his name was not even part of the people who ought to be investigated in this case. So how does the third party in this matter get to be a front runner and seek to be the one portraying pictures of the journalists in this case? That is what I'm seeking to ask of you, whether you think that that particular conduct was condemnable.
Let me say this. I don't know what Kennedy knows. And I don't know what triggered him to take that battle.
But you will not do that.
And follow on that path.
But you will not do that.
Because I have watched Anas's documentaries.
Yeah.
I have gained tickets. I've been given complimentary tickets. I've been watching his episodes.
Yeah.
And I've been watching them. It helps my job. It helps me appreciate that.
It helps the fight against corruption in this country.
Exactly. And not necessarily only corruption. It exposes you into certain actions of fellow human beings.
That's true.
And so it's a personal learning for me.
That's true.
That notwithstanding, if somebody feels that that practice is an affront to normal human freedoms and rights, and he wants to fight the fellow who is behind Tiger Eye, I think he reserves his right. It's his fundamental freedom right. I would not see anything wrong with that. It is his choice. So he takes such a battle, and he is on that path with them. And within that exchange, it emanates that he takes a different course. Okay. Unfortunately, it has resulted in not a very palatable state. Whether his actions caused it, I am not the investigator. So I cannot sit here and lay blame.
I get you.
Beyond that, I wouldn't want you to carry on that because he publicized that, we may be feeding the population with wrong information because we are not at the center of the conversation.
I get you.
We are not at the center of the subject matter.
Your point.
And so I will appeal to all of us that let us some more often times relax and get the operatives to do some good work for us.
I get your point. Let me get this point from you too. Now, the minority says government is doing very little about the state of security in the country. Minority believes that what the government has prioritized is not so relevant things and has actually left that important section there. In fact, to James Agaga, this government, instead of properly retooling the security institutions, rather engages in more propaganda about buying cars and other things. The question I'm seeking to ask you is that, and I'm seeing the national robbery statistics from 2015 to 2018. In 2015, it was 1,371 NDA total. 2016, it was 1,397. In 2017, it was 1,772.
In 2018, it was 1,919.
1,919.
1,919.
If I take back from 2016 to
Raymond,
2019,
before you go ahead,
there has been over 600 more robberies within 2 years.
I have issues with that statistics because I
need for the police with a great. You know that, right?
I know some researchers put it out and they said their source was the police. I have queried. I said the police must come to speak to it, and I want them to confirm the numbers for me. In fact, fortunately,
me, Raymond Akwa, I didn't see any other researcher put out their own. I asked the police for this data, and they gave me.
The police gave you this data?
Yes, and I'm saying that
which division of the police gave you the data?
This is from the police.
Which division gave you
if I have the public affairs specifically.
Oh, a clue. All right.
So what I'm asking specifically in this case is that, please, we have seen a jump in the robbery statistics in the country. You are aware of that?
Sure.
Is that not a major cause for concern?
Oh, it's a major cause for concern. It's a major cause for concern.
Can we account for these?
Of course. Why not?
What is causing that?
Our population is increasing.
That's merely that?
Exactly.
A 2.5%? This is more like a reflection of the 2.5%. Okay, now explain to me how between 2015 and 2016, it was just about 27 or so difference in the robberies. And between 2017 and 18, the number is as huge as 200.
Could you get the 2013 figures for us to see? What's the 2013 figures there?
I don't have 2013 figures.
Super.
But your point with that
I'm building a foundation for you. When every administration takes over, once there's a changeover, you have these challenges happen. They come. Crime rate when we took over in 2001, the then president, his communication officer, was attacked by armed robbers, my senior brother Kwabena Japan, in his house. A person who worked for the president, who was supposed to be clothed with heavy security, was attacked in his house. So it's not new.
This is not new.
But the concern is, how are we addressing the challenges?
It doesn't look like we're addressing it.
That is what you will say.
Because numbers are going up, right, from 2015, virtually every year.
Our population in 2015 was not our population in 2017.
I get your point.
Our population in 2015 was not our population in 2018.
I'm just
there's been an astronomical numbers increase in population of this country, which is a bother to me. If you go deeper into this analysis, I've read this data. I'm yet to sit with the police for them to confirm for me the exact numbers. Now, if you read the reports, you realize that these crimes borders on our major urban communities. It was high in Greater Accra, it's high in Ashanti, it's high in the Eastern region, then it comes to the Western region. And this is the sequence with which the report demonstrates to us. Now, my concern is that these are the most economic nerve centers of our country. And Raymond, you and I are comfortably sitting here discussing this beautiful subject. Others are also busily looking for their pound of flesh. And they are planning to also go to attacks on people and take their monies. And so in society, you can never have a foolproof security. You should always have at the back of your mind what is being done towards this. I know that the government is procuring more logistics and resources for the security services. We have had the security services over a period with few and less logistics. I know that currently some procurement is underway that will up their communication equipment. And mind you, government procurement is not like me deciding to buy you dinner. It takes a while to build. And so now I have full evidence that at least the processes are on, the processes have advanced, and in no time, the Ghana Immigration Service, which we passed the law under the previous administration to arm them as our border control officers, do not have arms. We are supposed to offer them arms. Similarly, the arms which our police service use needs to be upgraded. The arms that our defense forces use needs to be upgraded. It all boils down to money, and we have to find the money. Fortunately, I am privileged to know that the Ministry of Finance have supplied monies to these two agencies to buy guns. But I cannot talk about the guns that I'm going to buy.
Which agencies?
The Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Interior to buy for their sectors.
So when are they going to purchase these guns? Because
no.
For some of us, the end results want to see the people.
It's not just only guns. It's not just only guns. Today, crime is not just.
I get your point. Guns. So, but you mentioned guns. So how much has been?
I cited the guns. I cited the guns because
of the border issue.
Because of border control, which we passed the law way back in the previous administration, but we could not find money then.
I get you, but I want to know.
But now it is going to be done, it is being done.
You said the money has been released to them.
Yes, to the Ministry of Interior. It was really this first quarter has been given to them. They finished all their tendering processes with the Central Tender Board review. They've gone through. You know how government. I told you about government procurement. It doesn't start.
I get your point, but when are they going to get the guns? Forgive me. I'm just cutting to the chase in this point. When are they going to get the guns?
I will not be able to tell you when they are going to get the guns because I'm not a supplier.
Because I've seen that procurements have also lasted a very long time in some cases before.
But unfortunately, I'm not a supplier.
Yes, I get your point.
And you understand that supply and demand has its own challenges. Before it gets onto the ship, before freights are paid, before they are even cleared at our borders, our ports, it all consumes time.
So how much has been released?
Distribution. I cannot speak to that amount because I don't have the details with me here. I didn't know you were going to ask me.
No, but you are chairman of a committee.
I'm a chairman of a committee. I'm a chairman of a committee that I approved a bulk sum of appropriated,
including a very critical decision that was taken way back in the previous government's time. I would be convinced if you could tell me the specific amount, so that I'll ask the people whether they've been given these amounts.
Oh, I never knew you were looking for monies. I would look for the amount of money and I'll text it to you.
I get your point, but I know it's important. This is because people get to know that.
Not?
Well, it's not just
why not?
saying,
why not?
Oh, we've given them money.
I will get the right people to supply you the information.
I get your point.
So
this is just to retool these institutions.
We have to get them solid communication gadgets.
Okay.
Because today people sit on motorbikes, commit crimes and run away. People sit in fast machined vehicles, commit crimes, and run away. People are sitting in rooms in some hamlets, in some villages, where by virtue of extension of fiber networks, you have fiber highways all over, and so they can just go online, surf, and begin to trade. Yeah. And some are illegal. And these are the crimes we are battling with. We need to upgrade the logistics for our operatives. And that is what I am saying, that procurement are far advanced. And in no time you see. But the truth of the matter is that because it is security, security does not display. Okay. So you only get to know when you go to find out. And they'll tell you it is classified. Okay. So I sit with you here. You ask me several matters. Your network is being beamed the whole of our sub-region. Yes. Then I'm talking, yes, Ghana has spent 10 billion. Ghana has spent 2 million. Another country is watching us. Okay, well, you know, we have other states around us that who are waiting to see our firepower. Yeah. Then I just come and sit here and I spew it out to you, grrr, like that. No, then they also check. They also check what they are doing. Oh, these people. We can trigger this matter here. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Released budgetary allocation to augment the what they call it strength of your police and other institutions will not necessarily be a determinant of your firepower entirely, because clearly we might have a stock. And this is just to augment it. It's not to restart afresh and put it all together again.
Let me add on to what we have done. Yeah. Besides what we approve in it's a practice, we still also go out of contingency. We take from contingency to support the center, and this is what we do. Yeah. And so you would not be able to find it all in the books.
I'm not even contesting that.
So that is why I'm just hoping that in the shortest of times, you will see some display. Yeah. The evidence will be on the ground, and then it will affirm my position now.
Now I have a question on this. Now, when did the kidnapping of these Takoradi girls come to the attention of your committee?
Basically, when you guys raised it up, I don't deny that.
But really?
Because we had been told that it was a matter which was under investigation. But you can't just go and rush and speak, because once we started talking, people got to know, and the perpetrators realized that, hey, we are hot now. Let's find our way out.
So what did your committee do about this when you heard the incident?
No, it was told us that the matters are under investigation. Okay. And so unfortunately, at the time we received the information, we were on recess.
Yeah, I get you.
So I could not.
But to be fair, I mean, committees of your kind have actually come back or stopped or obliterated your recess to do so many other things. It has happened so many times.
No, many times when it happens that way, yes, we have pre-planned it.
Because it was an emergency.
When you see us working during recess, yes, it's part of our projections that when we go on recess, we have outstanding, unfinished businesses.
So an emergency cannot pull you back from recess?
An emergency can pull us back from recess.
Was the kidnapping of these girls an emergency?
Under the authorization of the speaker. Through the clerk.
Was this an emergency?
However, it is a crime that have been committed. Yes. And kidnapping. Yeah. We should discuss that as well. Yeah. How did it happen? It is happening. Give me some insight. It is happening through the applications you and I are interfacing with on the new media. Yeah. And those applications, I would want to speak to my fellow country people. Before you accept somebody on Facebook, kindly do a background check of the person. Before somebody puts up to you on WhatsApp and send you messages, if you don't know the number, you have to call back and find out who the person is. You just don't have to be engaging people in conversations. It is not every advertisement that flies on your phone that you'd have to look and go for. If you read it and it doesn't sit well with you, delete it. Don't engage people. Because new criminals are using these tools and they are getting to our people. They are affecting us as a country.
No, but my question really is about why I've not seen you, your committee, or the IGP, or National Security Minister, the Interior Minister before you, for real answers on how this happened, especially when we agree it's a very important issue.
Thank you very much. I cannot meet with the IGP. I cannot meet with the Interior Minister and the National Security Minister and have cameras on them. I meet with them in camera.
Really?
Yes, because we would need the hard questions you are putting to me.
Yeah.
That's what I put to them. And it cannot be disclosed.
Has this happened?
Yes, we do them. There are minutes to that.
Sorry, specifically on the kidnapping issue.
Not on the kidnapping. The kidnapping, we are yet to do it.
But this has been going on for God.
No, but for you know how you got me here today.
Yes.
And when did you call me?
I mean, this is in the course of the day.
During the morning hours, right?
Yes.
And you told me you would want to speak with me at 6. Duration.
Yeah.
You went through a process.
Yes, please.
Didn't you do that?
Yes.
So it's the same chain of process.
So you are going through a process.
Exactly.
But it's not an emergency. You cannot call them immediately to come and give you some information.
It is. You cannot just isolate that. Your conversation with me this evening started that my colleagues in the minority says we have an insecure state today.
Yeah, but that's true.
And so that is a reflection of their mind. And we cannot just sit on just one subject. Even in this conversation with you, we have touched on a number of
security
issues. So I wouldn't just single out the kidnapping matter as the sole emergency matter for them to come and sit before me. It
doesn't merit one?
It necessarily is an important matter.
Okay.
But I've not singled that one out alone because the life
I get you.
Wait a minute. The lives that have been lost.
I get your point.
My prayer is that the daughters of my family's extended out there in Takoradi who have been kidnapped must be found alive because they are going to grow to serve this state.
I get your
Some
point.
in my stead.
I get your point.
And so my point is that it is an important matter.
Yes.
I'm going to demand answers from the director of CID.
Specifically,
I'm meeting them on Friday.
Friday?
Yes.
Is it a committee that's meeting them?
Yes.
But how about the urgent questions we are told some of your colleagues have filed, requiring them to come and answer before the House?
You have to ask them, Speaker. They didn't file them before me. And find out from the leadership. They are in charge of that.
I get you.
They know
but
there's a process.
Aware of that.
Of course, there are processes.
You are aware of that?
Exactly. We work in processes and procedures in Parliament. You can't jump it. Everybody knows.
Okay, so which one do you prefer? Meeting you as a committee, which Agaga says has always been a very in-camera thing. They want them to come before the House, come and explain. That's why they have filed the urgent questions. Which one do you prefer?
That is James's wish. Fortunately for me, James was a deputy minister in the previous administration.
That's true.
When we had issues, we met with him in camera. We did not call him to come and stand in the dispatch box to disclose the entire security business to us. Fortunately for us, this morning, he disclosed on your sister platform here this morning that the then Minister of Interior used to submit to Parliament a security report because he was responsible for national security directly to the Speaker. I, a member of the Defense and Interior Committee, never saw that. I didn't know about it. It was today that my colleague disclosed that on your network to the Speaker.
Yes.
So that's why I'm directing you to the Speaker.
So Friday, you're going to query them?
I'm going to sit with them to have a conversation of what you are doing to me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
It's a pleasure.
The Honourable Senator Champon is the chairman of the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament. My name is Raymond Dakwa. This has been Upfront.